Today I want to talk about Tremayne, the young man who saved the 12-year-old boy in Trenchtown. I spoke about it a bit, but I want to go into it deeper today. Just to look at some things that maybe some people don't look at. But I am happy that this is happening, because until individuals are put in a position to know who they are and what they are, then they can truly walk into their purpose. And we will see, and you will see, the value of the individuals that you now throw out, you cast out, you quickly say, get out of here. We should get out of here. And see how well you crumble. There are some nations who have enough sense to know that's not a good idea, who recognize the input that people of color and immigrants on a whole have contributed to this space. And they often contribute in more positive ways because they know that they're on borrowed time. They know any time that their status is limited and that they can be sent back home. And so they tend to contribute to that space more positively than individuals who are born in that space or individuals who are legal to live in that space. Celebrate all you want. For the immigrants who are law-abiding citizens who are being sent back home, all I can say to you is count your blessing, because sometimes we don't see what is ahead. Count your blessing. And those of us who stay comfortable in these spaces and tell ourselves that everything is well, you sleep to mark death. Don't get comfortable if you're an immigrant, because you never know when you're next. I always, as I said before, like to circle that argument and look at all the sides. So this young man, by every stretch of the imagination, is a hero for what he did. He's a selfless individual who saw a child in trouble, and without thinking, a young man who can't even swim, without even thinking twice about it, jumped in the water, in the raging water, to save the young boy. And of course, needless to say, the result is good. The end result was beautiful. And now he's been lauded as a hero, and the government is going to recognize him for what he had done, that heroic act. But although that is one of the best news that has come out of Jamaica, I have watched every video there is. I just can't get enough of it. Although we see this beautiful story coming out of Jamaica, we're also seeing some things that are surfacing. And from my perspective, it'd be easy for me to look and say, see, there, that's Black people. This is how they are. Black people are no good. Oh, yes, it would be very easy for me to say that. It could be a day when I'm very angry and I could say, oh, look at that. They're so bad mind. They're so covetous that look at how one positive thing happened and look how it's turned into a circus. But I have to pull back from that because I'm a person who is very rational. And there are times when I am irrational, but I always pull myself back from it because it's very easy to judge what you don't know or you don't understand. So here we have this person who got sent home. Again, I already knew that someone was going to have a story. If not all of them, I knew someone was going to have a story. I knew there was going to be a blessing in that ordeal. And I still believe that day that there are other persons who were deported will come to an understanding, will be happy that that happened to them. For Tremayne, it was a blessed day. And I don't care what happened in the UK. I don't care what he did there. It doesn't matter. He was sent home. And had he not been sent home, that 12-year-old boy would have been dead. Because as much as there were persons there who wanted to help, they didn't have the courage. He was sent back from the UK to Jamaica for a purpose, as I said in that first clip. But now, individuals are coming out and saying, why is Tremayne getting all these credits? Why is he getting all these things? What about me? What about me? And again, on the surface, that seems like jealousy. That would seem like what we call bad mind, but it's not. It's not. I'm going to show you how governments, and I'm not saying governments are to be blamed here, but some governments, how, you know, based on your class. Individuals who are in a higher class than you can pit one person against the other. Our societies have a vested interest in keeping people separate. So it is not just a racial thing, it's a class thing too. It seems that those who are in power or in better position in society sort of benefit from keeping everybody divided. You know, we talk about divide and conquer rule. It doesn't just have to do with race, it has to do with class. Believe me, and I'm sure you know this is true. So this young man emerges as a winner, as a hero, and he's been lauded and he deserves every praise. I've never seen another young man who seems so humble. He deserves the praise that he's getting because he can't swim and he jumped into a canal of raging water to save somebody's life. And when you hear him, he said he has a 4-year-old child that he left back in the UK. Adrenaline, maybe he just thought, okay, it just came to his mind, maybe he felt or remembered his child. Regardless of why he did it, he was there, he was positioned there at the right time. Now he ran into trouble, and another gentleman, and I forget his name now, I'll find it somewhere, put it in his name somewhere in this video, but Alphanso, yes, his name is Alphanso. Alphanso, with quick thinking, when he heard what happened, ran through the community because he knew it very well and found them clutching for life, really, at the end, just before it got really dangerous, before they would be spit into more dangerous territory. Apparently, if the limb had broken that the young man Tremayne was holding on to, before that guy got there, the possibility of them surviving, that would have been very slim. So this guy goes in and he helps him out of the water. He rescues. He's also a hero. This is like a relay, and the different people who are positioned in a different place play a pivotal role. And of course, there's a young lady who comes up and she says, it's my video. I was the one who took the video. And then it seems like she's been selfish. But I'm saying, without her video, we would not have been able to see the graphic nature of what was happening. When you hear the story, it's one thing, but when you see it, when you're able to see that image, that visual, it really brings everything home. So the point I'm trying to make here is that Tremayne is by far, and with every stretch of the imagination, more than a hero, a self-sacrificing individual, a beautiful soul, regardless of what he did, whatever mistakes he made in the past. He is a beautiful young man. But society, or Jamaican society, always find a way to pit one person against the other. And you say, why use the word pit? The thing is, when you take this young man who has done this beautiful thing, and this is why I don't trust the media. I don't like the media too much, because they sometimes do more harm than good. Because when you just laud the one person and you completely ignore the others who participated in that rescue, you cause resentment in people. This is what they've always done. They've always taken one person and put them on a pedestal, and then they compare that individual to the others. Always, you can't put people on a balance. You can't, show people credit or respect. You can't put them on equal footing. You always have to, in order to celebrate one person's victory, you have to disrespect or be condescending towards the next. The young man Alphanso played a pivotal role. He ultimately saved the two. The bravery, and when we talk about bravery, scintillating kind of bravery of Tremayne is undisputed. But the other guy used quick thinking and saved them both. So he too should have been recognized, and he wasn't. It caused resentment in him. And someone on the outside would look in and say, what is wrong with this guy? He's just jealous. He's just bad man. No, he's not. Because one of the things, he looks around in this community of Trenchtown and sees that, they're struggling. This young man says, I have 6 kids. And he realizes, wow, you can actually do something good and benefit from it, because he's seen all the gifts and the offers that are coming for Tremayne. And somehow, maybe a little bit of jealousy boils up in him. A little bit of envy boils up in him, but it's justifiable. because he also sacrificed his life. He could have died. When he tried to get them out, anything could have happened, and he could have died, leaving his children. But the people who needed from the beginning to understand that this was not just an individual act, it was a collective effort from Tremayne, who had the ultimate sacrifice, and then also that guy Alphanso, and the young lady who videotaped that thing. It isn't just about her trying to get attention, but you can recognize her. You can recognize Alphanso, and I'm sure they've done that now. But this, I'm looking at it after the fact. I'm watching, you know, through Jaundice's eyes to say, this is why the people in our country are resentful and hateful towards each other and hurt each other all the time. It's not justification for that, by no stretch of the imagination. It's not justification, but not everybody is rational, and not everybody has the ability to think deep. Not everyone has the ability to move away from doing something wrong when they're desperate. So Tremayne stands as a hero, which he deserves, but Alphanso, with his quick thinking and his determination and his drive to go and follow his intuition, to go seek them out, to see, he never gave up. After they're washed away and cannot be seen anymore, some people would have already thought they were dead, but he didn't give up. He followed his intuition and he went to get them and found them hanging or clutching to life. Scarcity. When it comes to scarcity, individuals sometimes do things that they would not normally do. And when the young man, Alphanso, sees that the other guy was benefiting so much, it caused a kind of resentment in him, and he speak out. And now you'll have people in Jamaica who doesn't understand the dynamics, who doesn't look and see how individuals don't seize the opportunity to create a balanced society, to create equality among our people, so that some people don't benefit and others suffer. Growing up in the ghetto and you don't have food for days and suffer the pangs of hunger, for real hunger, and watching someone else, you know, throwing good food to the dogs, that can create animosity in people. And when we look at that, it's not just in the Caribbean, not just in Africa, it's in, you know, the universe, really. Some people have everything or is given everything, and others are given nothing. Some people work hard, some people try really hard, and in spite of their efforts, they got nothing. It creates a kind of hurtful thing, a resentment in people. So I was watching and I was feeling like it was wrong. It was wrong. I think that Alphanso should have been on every one of those stages together in the very beginning, before he even had to say anything. And I agree with him that if the government of Jamaica, if you're going to award the young man Tremayne for what he deserves to get, you should also recognize, which I think they're in the process of doing. But I want them to learn from that mistake, to say, do not cause people to harbor resentment in them when you should have seen the right thing to do in the first place. And the media have to know that they have a responsibility, because you can stir stuff in a hostile environment, in an era where people, in an environment where people are jostling for position. People are like thriving, striving, trying to survive. Really, not striving, because a lot of people in certain areas are not striving. They're just living, they're just surviving. And the media has a huge responsibility not to add fuel to the already existing fire. Because this is a wonderful story that is coming out of Jamaica, and you need to be responsible in the way you present persons' information. Because I'm understanding that the young girl who took the video is saying, well, recognize me, but somehow the newspaper twisted her words to make it seem like she was demanding an award as well. I don't think she was, based on what she said. But she deserves some recognition too. Let every person who was involved in that, including the other young man who assisted Alphanso to get them out of the water. We need that. So what I'm trying to say today is that wherever individuals are in positions where they're being treated unfairly, where resources are limited, people naturally become this aggressor, naturally become what we call bad mind. Jealousy is going to rise up. I'm going to leave with this story. A friend of mine, a Seventh-day Adventist woman, and if you're a Seventh-day Adventist or you know anyone who is, you know, most are vegetarians. And this woman, or if they're not vegetarian, we all don't eat pork. I used to be a Seventh-day Adventist. You don't eat pork. I didn't eat a lot of meat because of my association with this religion at one point. But this woman doesn't eat pork. She's Seventh-day Adventist. And she said she was going through some hardship in her life. And she had a very good friend that she'd meet up all the time with and just talk about life. They were both suffering together, struggling together. She went to the woman's house that morning. And when she went, and I think I told you the story before. When she went, she found out that the lady had killed a pig to sell that day just to help her kids to go to school. And she said a rage boiled up in her. She was jealous when she saw the lady cooking the pork. She doesn't eat pork. She doesn't even believe in selling it or raising it because it's something that we say is unclean, or I used to say is unclean based on what they tell you in the Bible. So when she saw the woman eating the pork and selling her pork, she grew this jealousy in her, wanting to be the person who would be selling that pork or be eating that pork, even though it's something that she found disgusting. Why? Because she was struggling emotionally. She was struggling financially. She felt rage. She felt jealousy in her. Not because she wanted that thing for herself, but because she had something that she didn't have. So jealousy, or bad mind as we say, can really creep in if you're not careful. If you don't monitor your emotion, you don't monitor yourself. And understand that when something good is happening for somebody, be grateful for them. That energy alone will attract the same thing to you. Tremayne deserves all the praise and the credit he's getting. So does Alphanso and the young lady who did the video and the other young man who helped with the rescue. And it's best that Jamaica recognize that the time to tear people apart, to put one person up and to tear down the next is not good. It's time for Black people around the world to understand that you can love more than one Black person. You can love more than one hero. You can love more than one singer. We don't know how to raise and lift up our people without tearing down others. Be blessed, everybody.